Hi guys, Nick here. I know we talk a lot about investing and putting our money somewhere in stocks and shares or property, but the question is, how much cash should you hold? You never know how much you might need or when you might need it, so stick around and I'll go through what I think is the right amount of cash to be holding at any one time. I think the first point to start with here is the concept of liquidity, and cash is the most liquid asset that you will own. Nowadays, you tend to own stocks and shares in nominee accounts, so you don't own the physical share certificate. So when it comes to buying and selling them, you can do it almost instantaneously. So you can have the cash available in a very short period of time. Obviously, before a lot of these online accounts, you had the physical paper share certificates. So if you went to sell them, it was going to take quite some time for you to get the actual cash. So having cash reserves a few years ago is probably more important than now, but now, like any other time, you always have to have cash ready just as and when in case you need it. So when it comes to having an amount of cash, what is it? Is it a monthly amount? Is it a percentage amount? How are we going to work it out? So I'll cover both points just to see, which seems better for each person, as each person is going to be different and each scenario is going to be different for each people. So having a cash reserve to cover a number of months of expenses is the way I do it, and it seems the best way of doing it, knowing that if for any reason something happened and I had to pay for my monthly expenses, I can do that knowing that I've got however many months in reserve. Some people say you want 3 months in reserve, some people say you might want 6 months in reserve. I think 6 months is a lot, but depending on who you are and your circumstances, and obviously if you have quite low monthly expenses, it might be better to have it. So the longer you've got it for, the less pressure and stress you're going to be under to regain income if something might happen. I was also reading the saying, if you're retired, you should have 2 years worth of cash saved up. I think 2 years worth of expenses at any time is going to be a lot to have saved up, especially if you're retired. You're going to have your pension and you're probably going to have other forms of income coming in as well. So having that amount in reserve does seem a lot, even for a retired person. I've got about 3 months worth of expenses saved up and ready to go if I needed to. I don't know exactly how much it is, so I know that's like a rookie error budgeting 101 thing, that I should know exactly what my expenses are and exactly how much I've got saved up to cover them, but I know it's there or thereabouts 3 months, and I think that's fine for me in the current situation. So the other point is it a percentage of your portfolio that you hold in cash? I know in some of my portfolios there is a small cash percentage. It's usually around about 3 to 5%, which I think is fine. It's always good to have the cash in the portfolio, just in case for any reason the investments fall in value. At least you've got the cash there, which you'd hope would be gaining some interest, but at the moment, with interest rates being so low, holding anything more than that in cash doesn't seem worthwhile unless you have specific reasons why you're going to hold the cash, say like if you're ready to invest it in something. And similar to the 24 months of cash reserve for expenses for retired people, I've seen some mention of 20% cash holdings in investments, and I just feel like that's very excessive, especially with interest rates being so low and with inflation starting to come back up again. That money is just going to keep losing value if it's just sitting in cash. You need to have that invested somewhere, unless you have a plan for that. Like I say, if you've got a plan for it, maybe there's an IPO coming up that you want to get in on, or there's a certain ETF that you want, that you want to buy a certain amount of, that's fine. But if you're just leaving it there sitting there just as cash, I wouldn't have 20% in my portfolio. So a couple of the important things about holding cash, especially within a portfolio, would be if you had ongoing fees for the platform, You kind of want the cash there to pay for that. You don't want to be in a position where you're having to sell your assets just to pay for the fee. It's always better to have a bit of cash there, even if that's all it's there for. But that's going to be, a really small amount in comparison to what your portfolio will be. So in terms of like a percentage of your portfolio, it's going to be tiny. Other than sort of your platform fees, there could be ongoing charges with, especially with active funds. These will always have an ongoing charge. It's never a lot, but you want to be having cash there just to pay for those fees rather than having to sell the actual investment itself. You might have a plan for it. There might be something you wanted to invest in, and it might be something you have to act quickly on. So even with bank transfers being quite quick nowadays, there's nothing quicker than having the cash there ready to go straight away. You also need cash just in case of emergencies. It doesn't matter where you hold this cash, as in an emergency, as long as you've got the money, it doesn't really matter. You never know what life might throw at you. Something might come up out of the blue and it might be a massive expense, and it might be something that you can't be insured against, so it's something you'd have to pay for, and you need cash reserve just to be able to pay for that. It's also important to have cash, especially with the way sort of the world and the economy is going right now. Being in recession, that's not great. There's a high risk of redundancy, and the last thing you want to do is lose your job and not have any cash savings behind you just to tie you over for a few months whilst you find a new job. It's so important just to have 3 months worth of expenses covered just in case. And with holding cash, if you're looking to invest it and you're just holding it there to invest, the last thing you want to do is just look for another opportunity, and the cash is just sitting there. You might be trying to time the market and getting it exactly the right time, but the only way you're going to benefit from that is if you hit the market exactly when you wanted to. If you go in too early or too late, you're going to miss out on that opportunity that you wanted, and for the time that you're not invested, you're losing out. Being invested is better than timing it wrong. I would rather be invested and go, oh, I've missed out on that gain that made, or oh, I missed out on taking that profit there, knowing that I'm still invested in the market and I'm still benefiting from being in the market rather than just sitting holding the cash. And a quick point on trying to time the market, you might look at the past performance of a stock or commodity, but past performance isn't guaranteed future performance or future gains, so you can't base a decision to invest purely on past performance thinking you're going to time it exactly right, as most circumstances you won't, and even if you did once, it might have been luck, and it's not the sort of thing you will be able to do every time. Or if you can, that's amazing, please get in touch, but most of the time you're always going to miss that perfect timing. See, the thing is, money likes to be invested. Invested money makes money happy. Everybody wants happy money. So I mentioned holding cash reserves, be it for monthly expenses or a percentage of your portfolio. However, in which way you choose to do that, where do you want to hold this cash? Right, for me, that cash is just held in bank accounts, but you could always put it into a cash ISA. Probably a bit better than just being cash in the bank, as any interest, the little interest it will earn, is tax-free rather than just being a normal bank account. You might want to be holding it on your investment platform ready to invest, but I would only hold cash on there, either very small amounts just to pay for any ongoing fees that you've got for the platform, or the alternative is to have cash there knowing what you want to invest in and when you want to invest in it, knowing that it's ready to go for when you need it. Just make sure wherever you hold the cash, it is FCA regulated and it's covered by the FSCS to ensure that if anything was to happen to the bank, you are covered for up to £85,000 of cash. The last thing you want to do is lose all the money you've been trying to save up, especially if it's your emergency fund. As you may have seen in the news recently, there's been a bit of, not controversy, but negative media towards holding cash in sort of investment platforms and sort of DIY platforms, and the FCA has instructed these platforms to return any large amounts of cash held in investment platforms back to the clients unless they have specific reasons and uses for them. I think part of me thinks this is a good thing, because then you're not risking your cash sitting there. It's actually in your bank and it's safe rather than being on a platform, because if anything happened to the platform, you could lose it. Not saying you would, but you could. And other places such as Hargreaves Lansdown, they're not the only ones who do this, and I think they're a great company as is, so this isn't a dig at them. I'm just saying they've been in the news for making a lot of money off investors' cash that's just sat in their portfolios. It seems like if you held the cash in your bank or you invested it yourself, you'd be expecting some form of interest or return, whereas holding it in their platform, they're the ones who are making the money off it. And again, this isn't a dig at them. I think they're a good company. They just happen to have profited off cash that you could have made money off yourself. So I hope you've enjoyed the video today. I hope it's given you some sort of insight into how much cash you should be holding, or made you aware that you need to be holding cash, because you never know what might be around the corner, and having cash ready is good in every situation in life. So if you have liked this, I would really appreciate if you could just click that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please click the subscribe button. I'm hoping to grow my subscribers to 5,000 by the end of the year. If I could hit 10,000, that'd be awesome, but I'm not going to be greedy. I'll just stick to a sensible number. And yeah, just click that notification bell, so every time I make an upload, you should be notified. And in the meantime, learn, invest, success.